There are lots of different watering systems for keeping your chickens hydrated. This is one we don't really care for, but we have it, so we use it. I'll show you how it works and some of the quirks with it. Okay, so we've got some rainwater in here, but these legs underneath, I believe there's 4 of them, are not level. They kind of look like it here because we've stuck it into the dirt a little bit, but even on a flat counter, if we're filling it with water from inside, it can lean in these different directions, and when you've got all this water, you can imagine some troubles you could run into with that. So the way this seals is with 3 locking tabs that slide under each tab on the tray. Now, of course, you can't see as you're doing this, so that's one little bit of a challenge, but as you're spinning it, of course, you're running to spin the tray only, and it's really hard to hold this large, wet container underneath, but it's possible. And then when you do, make sure and look that the tabs are visible, and that's how you know it's locked. So the first thing is you have to pick the whole thing up off the ground, because now you got to switch it over like that. It's pretty slippery. So now I'm trying to set it down, but it's pretty slippery. So sometimes I have to kind of slide it down on my leg a little bit to get it to down without dropping. Another watering system for keeping your chickens hydrated, this is actually called a hen hydrator nipple, and it goes into your water container like this, and then the hen can drink by hitting this. But this is Rev 1 design, and there are some inherent problems with this design. So there's a little washer here. You can screw it into just about any container. We use a spackle bucket in our main coop, but for the little chicks, we use a little peanut butter jar, and it works great. Except when there's water in here. Here, I'll show you what happens. So they're coming to get a drink. They do get lots of good water, but half of it ends up on the ground below them. So you're gonna go through this in twice the time, maybe more, because so much drips on the ground. Okay, the next rev of this chicken hydrator design is there's a little cup under here so that as they drink, those drips, instead of going on the ground, collect in the little cup, just like you see in my hand here, and they drink right from the cup. Okay, we don't have that version where you have the nice little cup underneath, but we've made modifications to these that work just like that. So after you've drilled your hole, you want to use an 1/8 inch tap. This is a tapered tap, and when you put this in there, it's going to create threads that are tapered, which means this screws in and actually seals. When you're twisting this into the hole you've made, you only want to twist in to the first part of this tap because you want to keep the hole as small as possible. So you'll feel a few threads getting created, and then you want to stop and gently back it out. Looks like we went about that. This is another kind of watering system, and it's great for little chicks. We usually put it on a riser so they don't kick grass into it, but you can see it's not working. Even that's not working anymore because they've just grown too big. They kick grass in here throughout the day, every day. It gets matted down there, and so it's great for when they're small. So you just have to kind of swirl it to get the grass out. Yeah, these guys are wanting to go outside. They are ready. Now you want to clean the inside of this with hot water every day so you don't get bacteria buildup. But you can see how this works. There's a little hole down here. Air can, and there's several around, air can enter, which then also allows the water to drain into the trough. When it's all cleaned up, then you just fill it up with fresh water and screw it on the top just like a lid. Once you screw it on, just flip it over quickly. And if you tip it slightly, then you'll see there's air entering and water is coming out on this side. Now once it reaches a certain height, then once the water reaches a certain height in the tray, once the water is higher than this hole, then it no longer continues to pour out. But as they drink, if the water starts to get lower, then the air can enter, and which allows then more water to drain. So it's really convenient. Another watering system we've used is in our egg laying bay, and that is just a simple tub, plastic tub of water. Now in the winter it will keep from freezing with just this simple light bulb right above it. We found that works easily. And we have added a slab of slate here that was, upcycled to, or downcycled, however you want to call it, to our chicken coop, because this keeps coons or critters, anybody, even a bear, from being able to lift this up to get to their chickens. We have found that latches like this, critters can figure out in less than a week. We also collect rainwater from the top of the chicken coop and a gutter that's on the back into this rain barrel, and down at the bottom is where we access any water we need as we water these chickens day after day. Our smaller coop, this is for younger chickens to get established and get used to this larger chicken run that they're going to be in eventually with our older flock. And the older flock is in our main coop here, and eventually they'll all be able to live happily ever after. To make sure the younger chicks have plenty of water, we've put the water container on the outside so it doesn't take up precious real estate on the inside. There's a tube that feeds it down in, and eventually we'll get a setup here where we've got a cup underneath to catch those drips that come from the chicken hydrate. Building it, so eventually rainwater will come off the roof, but we're going to test it first. And then we're going to put a cup on the inside here, get a setup so that it'll stand nice and sturdy. It has a little leak because we haven't glued the pipes yet, but in our test I just wanted to show you how this will catch even when this is sealed. Any drips coming from here are not going to just fall to the ground. We're going to use it for those chicks. So these are some of the different watering systems that we've purchased and made, and we'd like to know in the comments below what kind has worked for you.